Welcome to my channel French Pulse. Let's enjoy learning French. Today we're going to learn how to frame questions in French. You know, we have come across trouver les questions, poser des questions, but how do we frame questions in French? We'll go part by part. First of all, interrogative is used to ask questions. In French, interrogation can be formed in three ways. What are they? One is intonation, other is est-ce, using est-ce or inversion. What does it mean? We have a sentence here, tu parles italien. Just raise your voice at the end, intonation, tu parles italien. So this becomes a question. Tu parles italien, it becomes a question. This is more used for spoken French. Now let's see using est-ce. To this sentence add est-ce. Est-ce que tu parles italien? It becomes a question. Do you speak Italian? Est-ce que tu parles italien? This becomes a question. And inversion means you write the verb first and then the subject pronoun and then the rest of the sentence. Parles-tu italien? Parles-tu italien? So these are the three ways in which we have in French that interrogation can be formed. Let's learn how to do inversion. In l'inversion, invert the subject and the verb. What does that mean? Let's take an example. Tu regardes un film. So invert the subject and the verb. Put the verb first, regarde, tu, and then the subject and film. But what happens when the verb ending with a vowel? What happens to those verbs which end with a vowel? So it becomes verb, T and il or elle. You need to put the hyphen. Let's take an example. Il a un chien. A-t-il un chien? Can you notice here? Verbs which end with a vowel. This itself is a vowel, not only ending, it has a vowel. So you need to put hyphen T, hyphen il, un chien. Elle mange une pomme. Mange-t-elle une pomme? This verb ends in E. And therefore there will be clash of vowel, so we need to put a T. Let's see the verbs for inversion where we have to use a T because of clash of vowel. The first one is avoir, a-t-il or a-t-elle. Let's take an example. Il a un chat, a-t-il un chat. So here you can see that we need to put the T because of clash of vowel. All ER verbs, let's take an example, parle-t-il, parle-t-elle. Now this is a sentence, elle aime le chat, aime-t-elle le chat. We need to put T here because of clash of vowel. Aller, va-t-il or va-t-elle? Il va à l'école, va-t-il à l'école? Again clash of vowel and therefore we need to put a T. Now let's learn how to ask questions in French. First of all, we need to learn certain words to be able to frame questions in French. What are they? For example, qui est, which means who is it, who is this, and who are these. Qu'est-ce que c'est, what is this, what are these. Où, where. Quand, when. Pourquoi, why. Comment, how. Combien de plus noun, that means when we have combien de, it's followed by noun. And then we've got les questions avec les adjectifs interrogatifs. What are they? Quel for masculine singular, quel for feminine singular. We could also have with plural. Quel with S and Quelles, which means which and what. Now let's look at examples of each of them to understand how to frame questions in French. How do we frame questions? There are some steps. Interrogative word plus est-ce plus subject pronoun plus verb plus extra if any. Once we do a few examples, you will understand this better. I repeat, first you have to write out the interrogative word. That is what we just learned now. Où, comment, combien de, etc. Est-ce que, followed by subject pronoun, followed by verb, plus if there is any other extra word in the sentence. Now, step by step, what are my steps? First, write out the question format. Once we do an exercise or an example, when we finish all the rules, I'll show you some examples. You will be able to understand what these steps mean. So write out the question format, then write out esker. This will be followed by subject pronoun. Now you're framing a question, right? So a sentence has been given to you. If the sentence has got je, you're going to frame the question using tu. If the sentence has got nu, you will ask the question with vous. Il and elle, singular and plural, will remain the same. Now let's look at the other steps. Let's look at the other rules. With verb être or avoir, direct inversion is used instead of esker. Once we do the examples, you'll understand all these rules properly. Combien de is followed by noun. Mind you, combien de plus noun. It's not combien plus noun, but combien de plus noun. If a question is asked on the subject, esker or inversion should not be used. Then if answer starts with oui or no, avoid using interrogative word. We straight away ask with esker. We'll see those examples. And if the answer starts with si, the same thing. Avoid using the interrogative word, but you must add ne plus verb plus pas. Now let's look at examples one by one. Let's see examples one by one. Qui est? Qui est means who is this? So here we've got c'est plus person or ce sont plus person. The question will be qui est? What do I mean by c'est plus person and ce sont plus person? Let's look at an example. C'est mon enfant. That is c'est plus person. My question will be qui est? But ce sont mes enfants. That is ce sont plus person. My question will still be qui est? Next, qu'est-ce que c'est? Same thing. C'est plus thing or ce sont plus thing. The question will be qu'est-ce que c'est? What's the meaning of qu'est-ce que c'est? What is this? So, c'est une règle, c'est plus thing. My question will be qu'est-ce que c'est? Ce sont des règles, ce sont plus thing. My question will be qu'est-ce que c'est? Let's look at the other ways of asking questions. Let's see how to frame questions with où. Je vais à Paris. Où est-ce que tu vas? You can use où plus est-ce que or où plus inversion. So here we are using est-ce que. What did we say our rule was? What were the steps? Write out the question format. This is my question format. Followed by est-ce que, then write the subject pronoun by changing it. Remember we said if it is je, in the question you change it to tu and you change the corresponding verb. So my question is où est-ce que tu vas? Suppose I don't want to use est-ce que, I can write où vas-tu? That is inversion. Now let's look at the same question with some extra words. Je vais à Paris avec mon ami. Right? So again, my question format will be où, where, followed by est-ce que. Write the subject pronoun by changing it. Write the verb by writing the corresponding verb. And write the extra. Remember when I was giving you the steps or the rules, I had said extra. So this is it. Now I don't want to use est que. What do? I write où plus inversion, vas-tu avec ton ami. This is all extra. Now let's look at this with the verb être. What happens? We said there's direct inversion with the verb être. So, le livre sur la table, où est le livre? We don't need to write où est-ce que le livre est. Let's look at some more examples. Comment means how. So, again the same thing, we can ask the question with est-ce que or inversion. Let's look at an example. Je vais à l'école en voiture. So, write out the question format. How do you go to school? Write out the question format comment followed by est-ce que. Then write the subject pronoun by changing it and the corresponding verb and then write the question extra à l'école. So, if you don't want to use est que, you can also use inversion. So, comment vas-tu à l'école? How do you go to school? Let's look at an example with the verb être. We said verb être means direct inversion. Le roman est bon. Comment est le roman? So, we don't need to put comment est-ce que le roman est. Right? Now, let's see combien de or d apostrophe plus noun. It means how many. Il a deux amis. He has two friends. Combien d'amis a-t-il? Now, here we can see here, combien plus de plus noun, a-t-il. Now, let's look at another example. J'ai deux voitures. Combien de voitures as-tu? We can also use inversion if you want to, or you can use with est que also. Combien de voitures est-ce que tu as? But this would be preferable, combien de voitures as-tu, but this is also correct. Let's look at some more examples. Let's look at another example with combien de with il y a. Il y a means there is or there are. There are 20 students in the class. So, how many students are there in the class? Write out combien de plus noun, so combien d'étudiants, followed by est-ce qu'il y a dans la classe. Or, for inversion, we need to write combien d'étudiants y a-t-il dans la classe. Now, let's look at the next one, quand, which means when. Je vais en Inde en été. Quand est-ce que tu vas en Inde? How did we form it? Write out the question format, followed by est-ce que. Change the verb and the change the subject pronoun and the corresponding verb and write the rest of the sentence. I don't want to use est que. I want to use inversion. Quand vas-tu en Inde? Now, we can also frame a question by asking qu'est-ce que, which means what. So, j'aime la classe. What do you like? Qu'est-ce que tu aimes? Write out qu'est-ce que. Now, the subject pronoun will be tu and write the corresponding verb. Let's look at some more examples. Let's see how to frame questions with pourquoi. Pourquoi means why. So, il va chez le médecin parce qu'il a de la fièvre. Parce que means because. So, why is he going to the doctor? Because he's got fever. So, pourquoi followed by est-ce que. It doesn't change. It remains the same and the verb also remains the same. Chez le médecin. So, I don't want to use est-ce que. I'll use pourquoi va-t-il. Don't forget that the verb aller, in such a case when there's clash of vowel, we need to put T. So, pourquoi va-t-il chez le médecin? We will deal with the interrogative adjective, framing questions with interrogative adjectives in part 2. This is a vast topic and it will be done part by part. I hope you have understood how to frame questions in French. Click the link in the description box for exercises on the same. Like, share and subscribe to my channel. Au revoir et à bientôt.